Apologies, young scholars. I was checking to see if anybody emailed me about creating a group. So far, we only have one group set up, Megan and Curtis. So now it looks like there's only 25 young scholars in class. So I think we're going to have 7 groups of 3 and 2 groups of 2.
Guess I have to go. I'll catch you when I get home. Okay, bye.
Okay. So again, like I said, there's only 25 young scholars in the class now. So there's going to be 7 groups of 3 and 2 groups of 2. And ideally, you're going to determine who is in your group at some point soon. And like I said, in the groups tab, I go ahead and set up a group here. So you see there's one group set up here with Megan and Curtis. And you just click this little envelope to send each other messages, set up your group chats, whatever specifically you need to do. So as a reminder, for those who were not in class on Monday, in the last day's folder, 5-6, there's this group project assignment here listed. So you're going to basically do
if you want to get rid of it.
3.
Get rid of it. I might.
You're going to have 3 problems to complete in Microsoft Excel. And they're going to be scored based on the formatting. Is it submitted the way I describe it? The formulas, that's the equals and whatever the formula is. Not using constants, meaning, don't just put the number down. And the assumptions, you could just copy and paste from the instructions onto the worksheet as you so please. And then, like I said, that last class, each of the groups are going to give a 10-minute presentation. All of the group members need to participate, involvement. It should be as close to 10 minutes as you can, timing. And basically all you do is talk about the issues the group had putting together these 3 problems. So we're going to go through and do all 3 of these together. That's why I wanted everybody to attend today. So you can either submit each one individually as a workbook or all inside one workbook with all worksheets inside. So literally your file here in Excel is your workbook. And these little tabs on the bottom are the worksheets. So you could do all 3 in one file, that's fine. Say the first group member does the first one, saves it, sends it off to the next person, they add, sends it off to the next person, they add. That's perfectly fine. And if you're going to make a PowerPoint to help you get that 10 minutes, also submit that with your Excel files. So is there any questions on that so far?
I have a question.
Okay.
I wanted to know, do we submit who we want in the group to you via email, or is there somewhere we can just write it down?
If you guys already know what teams you want to be on, you could put it in the chat today. If you're still undecided, you could email me. But yeah, if you know who, like, say you have a team of 3 already set up, just post it in the chat right now and I'll look at it at the end of class and write it down.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which week is the project due?
So this is not due until Sunday, May 5th.
Oh, okay. Also, where can I find the assignment on Blackboard? Because I was trying to find it in week 5 and I couldn't find it.
This is in the 5-6 folder, the last folder, because that is the last day of class. That's when you're doing the presentation of it.
All right. Okay.
So it's all the way down the bottom there.
Oh, okay.
All right. So are there any questions on that? Okay. So what I'm going to do, rather than create all three different workbooks, is to do each one as its own worksheet. So I'm going to rename sheet 1 by right-clicking, selecting rename. I'm just going to say balance checkbook for the name. So for the instructions, it says to enter the text below in the cells indicated. A1, my checkbook, A3, check number, B3, date, C3, place of purchase, D3, debit, E3, credit, G3, balance. And then you'll see here, it says make sure column F is empty. So all we have there is the headers for our table. So next, it says use auto fit column widths on all columns. So we right click A through G, format, auto fit column. So again, you click the top of the A, drag over to highlight G, and then format, auto fit column. Now you see how the columns become big enough to fit all of the text. This should be reversed. So next, we're going to copy the info from the table here. We paste, and you notice that it's not formatted the way we want it. So first, this row 4 that has all the same titles we've already put in, we delete that by clicking here. Now we don't need this 4, 5, 10, 11. That's just telling us the row. So we highlight all of that down. And we select by right-clicking clear contents, which now deletes all of it. So now we highlight what is now in the date column. We do Control X to cut it, and then highlight the check number column and do Control V to paste it there. Then we do the same thing. We highlight what is now in column C. We do Control X, and then we highlight the date column and do Control V to paste it. Then we highlight what is now in column D, Control X to copy or cut it, then highlight column C, Control V to paste it. Then highlight what is in column E, Control X to cut it, highlight column D, Control V to paste it, and then last but not least, highlight column F, Control X to cut it, then highlight column E and Control V to paste it. And you'll notice these hashtags, as I told you last week, all they mean is that there's not enough space in that cell to fit all of those numbers. So again, we click the top of the A, we drag over to our G, we format, auto fit column width, and now all of the numbers show up. Now we come across our first assumption. Column F is empty to emphasize the changes in balance after each transaction. So we simply copy that and paste it off the side here somewhere. Column F is empty to emphasize the changes in balance after each transaction.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this the work for this week or the work with your group members?
What I'm doing right now is literally the 3 parts of the project.
Okay, thank you.
So you guys do this now. You don't have to worry about doing it in May when it's due. So next, we're going to format each column as appropriate. So column A, the check number should be a number. Column B, the date should be a date. And then D, E, and G should be currency with 2 decimals. So we highlight our check numbers, we right click, format cells. Right now they say general. We want them to be number. However, they don't need decimal places. They're just whole numbers. And then we click OK. Because it's 7, 9, 14, 16, 21. They're just check numbers. Or you could do so from the number pane here. Just select number from the drop. The dates, all of them seem to already be formatted as date. Once you paste them, all of the debits and credits seem to be formatted as currency. So now we highlight column G and select, instead of general, we want currency. So now all of the balances that we calculate will be money instead of just numbers. So now we have our second assumption. If your account goes in the red or negative, you will be charged a $35 overdraft fee. So if you spend more money than you have, you're hit with an overdraft. So that means if the balance is negative, before the next turn, you have to add a $35 charge if the balance goes negative. And you'll see as we go through this, that may not necessarily be something that you have to worry about. So next, it says properly computer, it should just say compute, formulas within cells in the G column to properly calculate the ongoing balance of your account. To start, G4 will simply be D4 plus E4. The formula you use in G5 should be usable to drag down through the remainder of the G column as appropriate. And then your third assumption is your bank account started with a zero balance. So we copy that and paste that. So here in cell G4, it said to just add D and E together because you started with a zero balance. So our balance is 1,500. We added 1,500 to the account. So now
Professor,
yes.
I have a question. Whenever
Okay.
I hit equals D4 plus E4, it gives me value. Should I put 0 in the debt?
Yes, if it's giving you a value error, put zeros in these empty boxes because it may think that it's a string instead of a number.
Thank you.
No problem. So for this first one, it's just D4 plus E4. For the rest of them, there's going to be three numbers that we have to do. We take our previous balance, we subtract our debit, and add our credit. So we do equals previous balance minus debit plus credit. So it should be G4 minus D5. We're paying the $500 in rent plus E5, but we don't have a credit there. So if we did this correctly, it's just going to take the 1,500 and subtract the 500. And it looks like it did it correctly because we got one thing. Then you click back in that cell and autofill the formula down. And as you see, at no point did our balance go negative. So we don't have to worry about our second assumption. It didn't go negative, so we don't have to charge the $35 overdraft fee. So if you did all of that, you've now completed problem one, balance your checkbook, which is 1/3 of this half of the project. So are there any questions on the checkbook? Okay, good. The last thing we have to do for it is in row 16, calculate your ending balance. Your ending balance should be a positive number. So here in G16, just do equals G15. That's our ending balance. And then click back on it and make it bold by selecting the B from the font panel. Now, problem 2 is probably a little harder to set up, but once it's set up, you're in good shape. So what I'm going to do in my workbook is create a new worksheet by clicking the plus, and it now calls it sheet 2. I'm going to right click, rename, mortgage calculator. So first it says enter the labels below in the cells indicated. Mortgage calculator, house price, down payment, amount borrowed, monthly payments, total amount paid, breakdown of payment, payment period, principal paid, interest paid, interest rate, years, payment periods, terms of loan, months. Bold all headings. So all of these make bold. So once you have all of that in, remember to bold all headings. So we select bold, 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 bold. So your worksheet should now look like that. Then it says to merge the text in E4 and E5. If you remember when we did this with the Yankees rule, when you do that, it's going to get rid of whatever's in that second thing. So it's just going to say terms of now and delete our loan. So we click the merge and center option and select merge cells. It gives us that warning. We click OK, and now it just says terms of. Next, it says format each column as appropriate, percentage, currency, etc. We'll get back to that. Once we put all our information. So we're given this first assumption. Your calculator will work for any numbers inserted. So we copy that, put it off to the side here. And our second assumption says no constants will be used. So we copy that, stick that off to this. So what that means is when we have these formulas here, we have to use our specific pieces of information that I provide you. So see how it's B13, E8, etc., rather than putting the numbers. So next, it tells us to enter the numbers below in the cells indicated. B4, B5, B13, E6, E7, etc. We put that info in. So here in B4, my house price, $395,000. My down payment is $1,500. My payment period is 150. My interest rate is 14%. And the years is 30. So next, you're asked to enter the formulas below in the cells indicated. So in cell E8, you're asked to multiply E7 times 12 equals E7 times 12, which gives us our payment periods in months, as you see below it. So the 30 years times 12 months to give us our total in months. Our next formula for B6 says to subtract B5 from B4. So we have B6, we do equals B4 minus B5. So the amount we need to borrow is the difference between the cost of the house minus the down payment, what we've already paid. The next function, B8, is a payment function. So we do equals payment, E6 divided by 12, comma, E8, comma, negative B6. We made our present value a negative already, so that the payment is a positive number. And this helps us determine what we have to pay each month on the amount that we borrowed. So E6, our 14% divided by 12, because we're paying each month, comma, E8, our number of pay periods, the 360, comma, negative B6, which is our present value, the amount we have to pay. So when we click enter, we have to pay a little over $4,500 a month to cover that cost. Then in cell B9, we're asked to multiply B8 times E8. So equals B8 times E8. And we hit enter. You see our total amount here? That's quite a bit higher than the amount we borrowed, correct? That's because it includes interest, a balloon payment, all these different other things that you're going to see later on down the road in life. So then in B14, you're asked to do the PPMT formula. So the P is for principal. So this giant amount here includes your principal and interest that accumulates over those 360 months. So that's what these two formulas here. PPMT is principal payment. IPMT is interest payment. So when you pay that $4,500 each month, it's going to calculate what is actually going towards the principal, the actual $380,000 balance, and how much is going towards the interest. So in B14, we do PPMT. E6, our interest rate, again divided by 12, comma, B13, the number of payments we're going to make, comma, E8, how many actual payments there are, comma, negative B6, the amount we're borrowing. And it's negative so that the entire principal payment amount becomes positive. So out of that $4,500 you're paying a month, only about $400 is actually going to the amount being borrowed. And then in E15, we do equals IPMT. Again, we have our interest rate divided by 12, comma, B13 again, comma, B8 again, comma, negative B6 again. Same formula as PPMT, except we changed the first P to an I. Now when you hit enter, you basically see that the entire rest of that 4,500 is being paid in interest. So now we're asked to label this worksheet as initial calculator. So instead of mortgage calculator, I right click and rename, and I change the title of it to initial calculator. Now, this part you guys will have to do on your own. You're asked to copy this worksheet twice, meaning you'll now have 3 initial calculator worksheets. You're going to change the names of the 2 copied worksheets to Just Enough and Dream Home. So we'll do that right now. Right-click the initial calculator and select Move or Copy. Click Initial Calculator and click the checks next to Create a Copy and click OK. So now you have this second initial calculator. You could drag it over to the other side. Then do that same thing again. Right-click Initial Calculator, Move or Copy, select it. Click the check to create a copy. OK. And drag that one over. The first one you're asked to rename. So we right-click, rename to Just Enough. And then the second one, we're asked to rename Dream Home. So you're asked to find 2 homes online you might be interested in purchasing. You're asked to find one that is reasonably priced, which is your Just Enough, and one that is very expensive, your Dream Home. So let's say you go to realtor.com and let's just use Bloomfield. So let's say this cheapest house here, 400,000. That might be your Just Enough house that you choose to use. Or you could even pick one of these other ones. So you'd select one of those, and then you'd put in the house price of whatever that selection is. And then you do the same thing for Dream Home. So let's say you wanted to live in Malibu, California for your dream home. And you maybe you select this house here, 75 million. You would put that amount in your house price for your dream home. So you're told within the new worksheets, change the house price to amount each home is being listed at in cell B4, just as I told you. So now you have another assumption. Assume your lack of credit works in your favor and your interest rate for both homes will now be 10%. So we copy that into Just Enough and Dream Home. And what you do is the 14% in Just Enough and Dream Home, you now change to 10% for both of those. So you're asked to change the number in cell E6 based on that assumption provided, which is what we just did. We changed the 14% to 10%. Then it tells us to change the number in cell E7 to 15, which means instead of 30 years, we're going to pay it off in 15 years for Dream Home and Just Enough. So now the 360 is cut in half to 180 payments. So that's what this last assumption is here. I get a good job out of college and can pay off the mortgage in 15 years. So you plop that in. And that's why, like I said, that cell E7 changes from 30 to 15 for just enough and dream home. And then lastly, please note within the just enough and dream home worksheets, everyone should ideally have different information based on which house they find online. So basically each group, your assumption is that, one group isn't going to find the same exact house because there's tons of different towns, there's tons of different houses. But what you do in cell D1 for each of these, the just enough and the dream home, is in cell D1, you paste the URL. So say you pick this house in Malibu for your dream home. You copy that URL, paste it into your workbook or your worksheet for the dream home in this example. So for the second problem, the calculator, you guys are going to pick as a group your house for just enough. You change the house price. You post the link of the house here in cell D1. You make sure the interest rate is changed to 10% and the years are changed to 15. Same thing with Dream Home. You put the new house price based on whatever your link is here in D1, change the interest rate to 10%, change the years to 15. As a group, you guys determine which houses to do for that. So you guys have to do that specific part and finish changing the house price based on whatever your house is and changing the interest rate and years for both just enough and dream. So last but not least is the cost benefit analysis problem. So I clicked the plus and added a new worksheet. This one is called sheet 5. I rename it cost benefit analysis. So what we're doing here is calculating whether the Tampa Bay Devil Rays should move to New Jersey or not, and whether or not that would be financially smart for them to do. So first we're asked type in cell A1 Tampa Bay Rays state. So do that. Then we're given our first assumption. The Tampa Bay Rays are moving and want to calculate the cost benefit of building a brand new stadium here in New Jersey. So we copy that, and we plop it off on the side. Then it tells us to type the following headers: year, cost, benefits, total benefits, discount factor, present value, discount, rate equals, net present value equals. And make sure you type all of them in correctly in the exact cell as I mentioned. The NPV stands for net present value, which adds up your total of your present. So then we're provided another assumption here. All financial values represent numbers in millions. So even though in some cases they may look like they're just single digits, they're technically representing millions. So then we're asked to type in the range A4 through A13, 0 through 10. Use autofill as appropriate. We don't need to use autofill because it's probably just easier to go through and type them out 0 through 10. So year 0 means that's what we're doing to set up and get ready before the stadium is even going to open. We have that third assumption. Year 0 represents the initial cost to build the stadium, while additional years are maintenance costs. So like I said, year 0 reflects our outlay before we even open the stadium. And we paste that assumption. So next, number 4, for costs, year 0 is 95. Years 1, 2, 3, and 4 is 4. Years 5, 6, and 7 are 4.5. And year 8, 9, and 10 are 5. Again, those reflect millions of dollars. So that means the initial cost to build a stadium is 95 million. Then it's somewhere between 4 million and 5 million in upkeep. So we highlight that column and we set them as currency. But since we don't need the decimal, we use the currency or number pane, clicking this button with the 0.00 and then under it the arrow pointing to the right, .0, to decrease our decimals so that we have no decimal places. And we have another assumption. As the stadium ages, it costs more money to maintain. So we highlight that and plop it in off the side. And you already see that. See how it went from 4 million to 4.5 million? Yep. I guess we did need decimal places for those two. Okay. So those 3, year 5, 6, and 7, click the other one to increase the decimal. Otherwise, it'll show 5 million instead of 4.5. So you see how it increases over time to maintain from 4 million to 4.5 million to 5 million. Again, we're reminded to make sure that the cells are formatted appropriately as currency, percentage, etc. So next with number 6, we're told calculate the efficiency or benefit in cell D4 by entering the formula C4 minus B4, and then autofill the formula down through D4. So we do equals, our total benefits. Column D, we do equals C4 minus B4. We hit enter. We click back in the cell, we autofill down. So because there is nothing in C yet, all of our total benefits are just the negative equivalent of our costs. So again, we need to highlight for year 5, 6, and 7 and add a decimal place so that it shows up as 4.5 million instead of 5. So then for number 7, we're told to type in cell C4 0 in cell D4 3, and each year thereafter a multiple of 3 every third year. In other words, year 4 will be 9, and the following 2 years will also be 9, but then year 7 will be 27, and so on. And then we have another assumption here. Our benefits increase every year the stadium exists. And we'll see that momentarily when we type this in, but we copy that and plop it off on the side here. So our first year is 0, and we have 3, 3, and 3. Because every third year, it becomes a multiple of 3. So then in year 4, it's 9. Year 5 is also 9. Year 6 is also. Then we multiply again by 3. So now year 7, 8, and 9 will all be 27. And then our last year, year 10, is a multiple of 3 of 27. So that will be 81. So the thinking there is the longer the stadium's open, the more people know about it, the more money they're going to be spending at the ballpark, etc. So then,
Wait, are those constants?
yes,
Okay.
these are just numbers. So then, for number 8, we're asked type in cell B18 12% for our discount. So see how it says discount rate equals? We type 12%. So now the remainder gets a little more tricky. So number 9, we're asked to type in cell E4 the formula to calculate the discount factor for each year, which is 1 divided by 1 plus B18 raised to the power of A4. And then autofill that formula down. So we do equals 1 divided by 1 put that in. Your put that inside your parentheses. And because the interest rate of B18 never changes, we make that an absolute. $sign before the column B, $sign before the row 18. So this is in essence 1 divided by 1.12 raised to whatever the year power is. So you might have, 5% discount, 4% discount, whatever it may be. So we hit enter and it's 1. Auto fill down and it gives us portions of 1. So we go ahead and we format these as percentage. So there's 100% discount the first year. Because we really haven't done anything. And then you see as we move along, the discount rate drops and drops and drops.
Professor,
Yes.
do the decimal places matter in this one?
Well, you might want to have 2 just to show, but not necessary.
All right.
Because they're all different full numbers. So for column F, we're now asked to enter the formula D4 times E4 to multiply the total benefit for each year by the discount for each year, which is going to give us our present value. So equals total benefits times the discount factor. So because our discount factor is 100%, and our total benefits was negative 95, that's our present value for the first year. We click back in and auto fill down. So the second year, we're losing about 890,000. The third year, year 2, we're losing about 800,000. Year 3, we're losing about 710,000. Then starting in year 4, we turn a profit. So then number 11 asks us to compute the net present value. Add together the present values for each year in F16 using the following formula. Your auto sum of F4 through F14. So right next to here where it says MPV equals, we do equal sum, open parentheses. We highlight our range of cells there, enter, and our net present value is about negative $37 million. All because of that initial outlay. So you'll notice in year 10, we have positive 24 million. So it might take us another couple years for the stadium to basically be paid off. But last but not least, it says change the name of your worksheet to year number, where number is the number of the year where the stadium begins to have a cost benefit, i.e. where the present value becomes positive. So where is our present value positive? Year zero, nope, negative 95 million. Nope, still negative in year one, still negative in year two, still negative in year three. Oh, okay, we're positive in year four. So where I have cost benefit analysis here, I right click, rename, and I rename it year four. So if you went ahead and did all of what we just did today, like I said, all you will now have to do on your project is to open the just enough and dream home ones, change your house price to whatever you chose for the house, and put the link here in cell D1. Because hopefully you already changed the 10%, 15 years, same with dream home. You change the house price, you drop the link in a cell D1. Ideally, you've already changed the 10% and the 15 years. So now what you guys do when you put your groups together is you're going to make sure that all three of those are done. Then you're going to jot down any kind of issues. Oh, I wasn't able to get this formula to work correctly. I had to go back and do that. One of you mentioned with the checkbook, you might have had to put zeros into the blank boxes here to avoid getting a value error when you calculated the balance. So you'd write that down as an issue. You could spend time talking about that during the presentation. So ideally, all the presentation is you talk about any issues you had doing these three problems. And like you said, you're more than welcome to put together a PowerPoint when doing so. So let's see, what teams do we have set up? So Lean is going to work with Mariah. Okay. This wall. Jadir. Lauren, Jaylene, you're okay with Thomas joining? Okay. So Brittany, Dwayne, and Michael, do you want to be a group since you're the only other three that are on the list there?
Yeah, that's okay. I'll work with anyone.
Okay. So Dwayne, Brittany, and Michael will be another group. Robert is going to join. Okay. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So only about half of you have groups set. So in the coming days, kind of think of who you want to be in a group with. And you can either tell me on Monday where we're going to do another exercise in class, or you're more than welcome to email me. So Robert is joining the Robert Jimenez. Okay. is joining Curtis and Megan. Okay. Uh, okay. Lean and Mariah are going to be a group. There we go. Okay. They're set up. Viswal and Jadir. Would you like Naya, Jordan? Do either of them work? Oh. So Kat set up a group with Giovanni, Samuel, and Jordan. Is that agreeable?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Dwayne, Brittany, Lauren, or no, Michael are going to work together. Lauren, Jaylene, and Thomas. Thomas, Giovanni, Samuel, and Jordan are going to work together. Okay. And Viswal and Jadir. Okay. So I have 9 young scholars left. So we need 3 groups of 3. So Naya, Faith, Shane, Nick, Monet, Calvin, Caitlin, Dan, and Tariq all need to come up with some combination of you and 2 other people. So, like I said, you're more than welcome to let me know on Monday, email me, whichever works for you. A reminder, the homework number 5 that's due on Sunday is referred back to what we did last week. That second half there, using the strings, taking the info out, using the NFL to do the MLB. All right, so if there are no questions on that, I will see everybody on Monday. Enjoy your day and enjoy the rest of your week.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good one.
Sir.
Have a great
Sir,
Yes.
could I see the cost benefit analysis sheet discount column again one more time?
Yeah.
Because I tried to drag it down and
This one?
kept, yeah,
Okay.
it kept giving me 100% for all of them.
Okay, make sure that the B18 is an absolute.
Yeah, it is.
Everything else, 1 divided by open parentheses 1 plus B18 is an absolute, close parentheses, the shift 6 to get the raised 2 caret, and then A4. So this
Shift.
way, when you autofill it down, it changes A5, A6, A7, etc.
Yeah, let me try it one more
So
time.
it should look like this: A5, A6, A7, A8, A9, A10, A11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, it does, but it still shows 100% for each.
For all of them,
Yeah,
you
maybe.
and you're sure
Maybe.
you have 1 divided by, and then this first part in the parentheses.
Yeah.
It's giving you 100% for all of them.
Yeah, maybe it's looking at the balance checkbook because that's the first one. I'm not sure.
Well, unless you had like equals balance checkbook with the exclamation point here, it's not going to do that. Are you sure that you make sure that this last part is an absolute? Because this is what we need to change, this last part.
Yeah,
It
it's
should
not
be
absolute.
A5, A6. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording.